All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Watches with Dennis. We're on time. We're ready to go. We have our dill pickle chips. We have our random stray dog in the corner. We have our beigey orange wall. And we have our completely unrelated pinball content decorations. So I think we're good to go. Welcome. This is going to be a new game that Ken came up with. It was his brainchild. He thought on this for arguably decades and finally fabricated a game, if not worthy of us, at least worthy of Mordor. And so we're gonna do the famed cheap versus moderate versus expensive, but because we don't have the funding to let's like go to New York and go and tour and try out all these watches, even though for Ken it would probably just be a hop down the street. For the rest of us, it would be quite a sojourn. So
I'm lazy enough to get out of my house. Don't worry about it.
So I have concocted a matchup of each of these. We'll do two versions, as the title of the video has already indicated to folks. We're going to have titanium watches, what we'll do first, and then we'll go ahead and we'll do dive watches because who doesn't know about all of that stuff? So anyway, to get us started, let's go ahead and just do a quick wristwatch check if you're wearing anything and who you are. And Ken, I'll go ahead and start it off with you.
Oh, sure. I'm nobody. just a watch enthusiast and love to hop on streams like Dennis is. Today I'm wearing a Tudor Panda. All right. So this is chose this because this is the closest that I'm gonna get to any type of Paul Newman Daytona, whether it's vintage or quote unquote the modern,
the Le Mans.
The Le Mans, yeah. Which let's see if we have time to talk about it tonight.
Okay, yeah. I haven't done any discussion on it yet. I saw the images of it, and then I was like, no, let's talk about this new Seiko instead. So, I know. Perhaps I picked poorly. Right. Patrick.
Well, I'm Patrick from the world's leading pocket watch YouTube channel, Pocket Watch Time.
You are my favorite pocket watch channel.
But I am also an absolute nobody in the world of the world, and today I am rocking a Panerai.
Oh, is that a Luminor?
So that's a Luminor, and it's a tantalum version because I like weird, funky metals.
Wow.
So it is it's an old school one. So one of the ones from I guess the era where people used to like these. And
so tell me, if you wouldn't mind, tell me a little bit about tantalum, like because I've never handled a tantalum watch. What's the advantage or the intrigue or the interest in it?
The cool of it is that it's a different color. And so it's kind of hard to tell, in my really bad sister-in-law's bedroom because we're at grandma's house. Mm-hmm. But tantalum, when you brush it, it's kind of a purpley blue toned metal. And when you polish it, it looks kind of like titanium. So if you kind of see it, the bezel is polished and just looks like titanium, which actually is what the protector, the crown protector, is made out of titanium. But the metal itself kind of has
I do see those purple hints now.
And so the Chronomet Blue by FB Jorn is probably the most famous tantalum watch. And of course, they matched it perfectly with a dial that really helps show it off. And the only help that this one gets is these minute hands and the hour hand. They're blue, and I guess Panerai doesn't usually make blue hands. So I guess this was their way of saying we're going to make something special. But all in all, really, what's kind of cool about it is it's just a really, really heavy metal. So it weighs almost as much as gold does. And it's more shock resistant. It's more, scratch proof. It's a tough metal that weighs a lot.
All right. Tony.
I am Tony. I'm even less of somebody than the others. I co-host the Eclectic Gamers Pinball and Video Game Podcast. And I am on this when you do lives a lot of the time. Today, I'm wearing my Super 7 Scuba. Get up to here somewhere, which everybody's seen before because it's what I wear most of the time. But I did have a watch adventure. And Patrick's Panerai, I tried one on.
Oh, the
during my
Tantalum?
watch
Ooh.
adventures. It was not the. I'm sorry, it wasn't the tantalum. It was
Oh,
the
no, no.
chrono. It was the
Panerai
chrono. I had it was a Panerai chrono, and by tried it on, I mean I laid it over my wrist because the band was nowhere near big enough to go around my 8.5-inch wrist, but it looked enormous even on my enormous wrist. It was surprisingly large. I tried on a bunch of watches that day, including a Tudor Ranger, which actually fit on my wrist with 0 adjustments with a bracelet.
That
which
surprised
shocked
me because that's like
me.
what is that, 39 millimeter or so? I mean, it's
Yeah,
not a big
yeah.
watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised. The lady was surprised that it went around my wrist and was able to actually put it on.
Imagine her doing shock Pikachu.
That's basically what it was. Because we were like, well, let's see. And she's like, well, it's got this really easy adjustment. And she opened the micro adjustment up, and then we had to close it all the way because it could, with all the lengths that the bracelet came in, it actually could fit.
Wow.
So she tried to hard sell me on it, and I really wanted it. I really, really, really wanted it, but
Discount?
no discount. It was
Okay.
3,100.
She didn't try hard enough.
Yeah.
Didn't try hard enough. She tried to give it to me for 3,100. And it's like,
Yeah.
not today. But I had a lot of fun. I tried on a bunch of watches that day, including, like I said, Luminor Chrono, another Panerai. I don't remember what it was. It wasn't in the Luminor line. It was a dive watch, and several, and a couple Tudors and an Oris and a bunch of Longines.
Yeah. Where were you? What was the place that you went to try all this on?
It was 2. I actually went to 2 different 80s in this area. The 180 had the Panerais, the Tudors, and they had Rolexes, though I didn't even go over that way. And the other one had the Orises and Longines and that.
Yeah,
It was part of a.
I don't know if we have any boutiques here we're in the Kansas City area. Tivol is the big dealer of Rolex Tudor. They do Cartier. They do.
That's
Patek.
the other one I tried on. I tried on a tank, Cartier tank. The bracelet, not the bracelet, with the strap also would not have fit. I would have had to have replaced the strap around my enormous wrist.
And then we have, I forget the name of the other big jeweler that does the Omega and Breitling and all them, but yeah, I don't think we have any boutiques in KC. So
no, it was just jewelers that are 80s. It was I took a day off and did a big loop, and I went there in motorcycle places. So it was exciting.
Zoom. Well, last and certainly least is me. I'm Dennis, host of this channel. I'm just an enthusiast too. I record stuff. That's the only real difference. Today I am wearing my oldest watch in my collection, which is my Rolex Explorer 2 16570 polar dial. I've had this about 15 years at this point. So, and I finally got it out of the watch winder because it's one of the few that I really like to keep on the winder because you cannot quick set the dates on these GMTs. So it's like, it used to be when I didn't have the winder. It's like, I guess I'll wait half a month to wear it.
What year is that?
This one was, I believe, the papers are 2006.
All right. I thought I saw a little bit of cream on the dial. Maybe.
No, it's not. No, it's not. This is with the Super Luminova. It's got the Swiss made at the bottom. It's got all the most modern features of it, except when they changed the movement right before the end of the better movement. It's still got the crappier movement, but otherwise it's got the drill, it doesn't have the drilled lugs anymore, but it's got the solid end links and all that. But yeah, just a couple of years before they made that movement swap, back when Rolex didn't bother changing reference numbers for movements. But those days are long gone. So the game. All right. I said we were going to do titanium. We're not going to do what was the name of I want to call it Tantaloons, but that's Pantaloons.
Pantaloons.
We're not doing that. Maybe in the future. I don't know. That one might be hard to find.
That's a hard one. Yeah.
There's not.
I don't know if I could find a cheap watch. Is the thing.
Yeah.
So
probably only about 10 watches I can even think of. So there aren't very many choices.
Tantalum. Yeah. Yeah, that one we might have to roll out. But so in terms of the tiers, which again, I have to credit Kevin for the tier concept. So the way it's going to work is when we say cheap, because obviously value is relative, cheap is going to mean a watch that was no more than $1,000. It had to be under 1,000 actually, 999 cents. And again, on this iteration, I used retail prices. So that's cheap. Moderate is anything from $1,000 to $12,000 even, and then expensive had to be over 12. That way we could throw some Rolexes in the moderate is the logic behind that. I'm assuming that was Ken's logic, because when I thought about this, I thought, why would you not use 10,000? Such an even number. I thought, because then you're basically stuck with no date Rolexes, and you have to otherwise put them as expensive. And maybe with expensive, we want to talk about something more like a Parmigiani or something. So we're going to go ahead and start with dive. And the way we're just going to do it, we'll see these, and it would be kind of like those other, if you ever seen this, where people like go and talk about the different value hot dogs they'll try or whatever. You just kind of decide like which one of the three do you think is the best value, and kind of maybe argue why that is and why the other ones aren't. And that's it. There's no other real rules to the game. It's pretty straightforward and simple. And so let us start with that titanium matchup. So here you go. You can see it on the screen. Sorry for the really crappy version of the Citizen I got with all these jaggedy, janky edges. Had I really cared, I would have gone in and smoothed all that out with a blur tool or something, but I don't care. So it is the cheap option, so that really just emphasized it. So in the case of titanium, I have gone with the Citizen Super Titanium Armor for the cheap version. Obviously, Citizen does a lot of titanium watches. They're actually quite well respected for it. They do what is called super titanium, which according to their marketing is essentially a hardening process they apply to their grade 2 titanium, which makes it, I think, about 5 times harder than regular titanium. So anyway, it's about a $430 watch new, according to Citizen's website. I have the model number there. It is an eco drive, so this is a quartz solar powered, sort of capacitor charging watch for the cheap tier. For the moderate tier, I went ahead and went with the Tudor Pelagos. This is the M25 600 TB. So it's the blue dial. This is the one with the nice 500 meters of water resistance, the Thule True version of the Pelagos. We know they have a more dressy version that has come out since then. This is priced retail at Tudor's website for $4,925 US. So it's almost in the middle of the moderate tier, a little bit on the lower end. In-house movement. 42 millimeter watch, and this does use grade 2 titanium for the case and bracelet. And then for expensive, I went ahead and went with the Chapek Antarctique. There are a ton of Antarctiques. So this is the titanium dark sector model. This is a little over $36,000 on Chapek's website. This uses an in-house movement of theirs. It's 40.5 millimeters. Water resistance is 120 meters if you care about that. And this is actually a grade 5 case and integrated bracelet. So as you can see, all three of these are all fairly larger size watches. They're all over 40 millimeters. The specs vary quite a bit. They all have some degree of water resistance, as in they're somewhat sporty. Nothing's worse than the Citizen, which is at 100, so you can swim with it. So, but otherwise, very, very different price tiers, and arguably very different approaches on titanium, given the super titanium versus the non-super of the Tudor. But let's go ahead and I'll start with Tony. If you've had time to sort of formulate, like, if you had to, like, what do you think is, I mean, and you can do it any way you want. If you want to say, what do you think is the best value of like proposition, and you define that however you want. Obviously, you could always say the best value is always going to be the cheapest one, or you can say, well, I want something.
What's interesting on this selection is that on my watch trip I took, I tried a Pelagos and I liked it, but not as much as the Ranger. And I was looking for the Citizen Super Titanium Armor, but they didn't have one at the place I stopped at, because I've actually been considering the Armor recently as a new addition. It's currently the number one rank of something I've looked at for adding to my collection, to kind of round my collection out and to have titanium. And then the expensive is really expensive. It looks nice, but of that combination of watches, the Pelagos, I really like the Pelagos in that blue. I think it looks good. It was comfortable. Like I said, I preferred the Ranger, but that's just has to do with me being kind of more minimalist on a lot of stuff. But I was a big fan of the Pelagos, and I think of these, the best combination of quality and looks and price is going to be that Pelagos. I think that would be the route to go. The sector dial on that Antarctique is nice, but I've seen ones I like better. For me, I don't think it would be worth it, especially not at that price point. Comparatively, I think I would have, and I would wear the Pelagos way more often. So, yep, that's where I'm going. I would say the Pelagos is the best overall pick, with the caveat that I'm actively looking into an armor, but that's just because I'm cheap.
Okay. Well, that's always fair. I mean, if watches were free, this would be a lot easier project, I think, but they are not, alas. Ken, okay. It's your game. This is exactly what you envisioned I'd do. These are the three watches you knew I'd pick.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I mean, now that I'm thinking through it, we probably could have done like maybe 4 or 5. But we'll see how this goes. Like maybe next time.
The screen would be we'd be talking like slim for life.
No. I mean like 4 or 5 different categories.
Oh, yes,
like you do with the tots, just to like lengthen it. But sure, we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I was just thinking. Yeah, I was just a fan of those like food shows. Me and my wife were just fan of those food shows on YouTube, and then I saw them do like a watches episode one day, but I thought it was awful. So I thought, hey, look, we can do a much better job, and we could just shoot the shit at the same time. Did
they go to the Invictus store? Is that what happened?
No, they went to like this really flashy AD in Los Angeles, and then they tried on like 7 or 10 like $100,000 watches on each arm, and then they were trying to. Just like
I did. I saw that. You're right. I saw that.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
You're gonna scratch them. You're gonna scratch. I can't help.
Knew nothing.
Well, you don't like watching the crowns dig into the sides of the one next to it as you just slam them onto your arm, so it looks like you're a gladiator.
Yeah. Gauntlets. All right. I was gonna ask you like. I didn't know which Tudor you picked. I was wondering if you would go with the Pelagos 39 or maybe even or even the what do you call it, the FXD. But I mean I don't have much experience handling titanium watches, to be honest. The most I've handled was this Tudor, a few Tudors, and some Omegas. So and when I handled them, like I just felt like for the price, for the premium titanium, for Tudor titanium, Omega titanium, it didn't feel that much more luxury than stainless steel. So I never pulled the trigger on any Tudor. I don't know how any of the more higher grade titaniums feel, but with the Tudor, I'm going to say this with most Tudors. I mean, let's say if this was like the Pelagos 39, what I'm thinking to myself is why don't I just spend 3,000 or 4,000 more and get a no date sub naked from the gray market somewhere. So I never feel like Tudors are a great value at retail. Maybe secondary, definitely. They could be. So I'm not gonna take the Tudor. Chopek. I never knew much about Chopek as a brand until you picked this one and shared it with me, Dennis. But I read up a lot about it, and they used to be part of Patek. Really, it used to be in the 1850s and the 1860s. It was Patek and Chopek as a single brand. Then they split apart, and then Patek went their own way, and then Chopek took some time off for I forget what reason, and then they were revived back in like the early 2000s. But they have history. Their roots go back to Patek in the mid 1800s. But unfortunately, at that price point, their price point is also with Pateks, and they just don't have the name recognition, obviously, as the other Swiss brands in that price range. So if you buy this Chopek, You know, you're not going to get, heck, even watch enthusiasts aren't even going to know this brand, let alone any type of consumer, regular consumer or gray market dealer. If you try to get rid of it, you're gonna take an absolute bath on the Chopek, even though it looks like a really nice watch, and they only make like, you know, less than 100 of them per year. And plus, you can also order them. You know, I researched online, and you can also put in an order on their website, and they'll make it for you in some time, as long as you pay them, like, you know, whatever half of the deposit they're asking for. So I can't say it's really hard to get. So I can't see much value in there. So I'm going to go with the Citizen, Dennis. I mean, this Citizen, I mean, you know, great job with the Photoshop. But if you look at the watch on the website, and I never seen it in person, but I like how the bracelet looks. I like the design of the bracelet. I like the design of the whole watch, the dial, the hexagonal pattern. It really has that Iron Man 1, you know, old school armor type of feel to it. And I really think this, and I think I'm going to go with this is in here as the best, as the one I'd pick.
Okay, interesting. Patrick.
Well, I'm going to go in reverse order, and I'm going to tell you which one I'll pick first. And I'm going with the Citizen. And I think the main reason I'm going with the Citizen is that's a damn nice looking watch. And, you know, I've actually never seen the armor before. You know, I know very much about Citizen and Solar and Echo Drive and all that stuff. But I mean, I guess they release new models here and there, and I've just never seen that one. And, you know, I like it a lot. I mean, the case body actually kind of reminds me of the Grand Seiko Godzilla. It's got sort of the same angular parts there, and just, you know, really is kind of an interesting case shape. I like a 4 o'clock crown. You know, it just really puts it all together. Titanium, $400. To me, that's just a no-brainer. You got a hell of a watch for $400, and now you've got enough money to buy other watches, which, hey, as all addicts like to do, that's what we do. So marching over to the pile, I've got an interesting love-hate relationship with Tudor. And I mean, I own 2 of them, so I love some of them enough to buy them, but the Pelagos, it just doesn't spark love to me, whether it be the FXD, whether it be the regular, which I actually like the regular the best, or the new 39. You know, the 39 just looks like it wants to be a mill sub sort of kind of sized. You know, everyone's like, oh, bring back vintage Submariners. I don't want a vintage Submariner. I want a cool watch. And so none of that really means anything to me. You know, the big boy 42 millimeter, you know, Pelagos, at least it says what it is. It's like, hi, I'm a big burly dive watch. And, you know, when you go swimming with me, you can go deep, and I'm tough. So I respect it. And I really like the blue pop of color on there. And, you know, I don't even dislike snowflake hands. Like, it's a really cool watch. It's just, maybe if they made some really neat special limited edition in a weird dial variety, something that made me say, hey, they're not making a million of these. But when you get into the prices of, you know, 5,000, 10,000 or more, if that watch isn't unique in some shape or form, meaning that there's not some machine just printing out millions of them a year, you know, it really just loses its special to me. And if a watch isn't special, it's just a watch. And that's kind of the meanest, nicest thing I can say about Tudor. It's just a watch. So now I'm going to be really mean, and I'm going to be mean to Chopek.
Oh, poor Chopek.
Chopek is virtually a Kickstarter wannabe. I don't like you one bit, because yes, they did have history, but they went away and they have no association with their history. Someone just bought the name and put it on the dial and pretty much said, let's sound cool. We're like Patek. No, you're not. You're using Swartza ETN movements. You're finishing them a little bit better, and you're plopping them in there. So you've got maybe a $500 movement in a case that's nice, but best case scenario, polish that with gold dust cloth, and that case isn't worth more than $1,000. So where in the hell is the other $35,000 coming from? And when a company does garbage like that, it just turns me completely off to a brand. I don't think anyone should give their watches away for free. Could that watch be 20 to 25? It could. And that might even be more in line of fair, given that other sports watches of similar vein are that price. But yeah, that is too high of a price for a nobody brand. And it doesn't mean you don't make a nice watch. And in my opinion, that's probably one of their better ones, because I think that Passage de Drake dial looks like absolute garbage turds. It's an ugly dial. And, Christopher Ward copied it with theirs, and congratulations. Now you've got an ugly dial too. But, this dial at least is sleek and makes me say, hey, that watch looks expensive, instead of, hi, I've got an expensive watch with a $25 dial on it, because that's what the new CW and that's what the original Passage de Drake dial looks like to me. So sorry, Chapek, I've been mean to you, but you're a no. Tudor, I love you, but that one just isn't special enough to spend $4,500 more than a damn fine looking Citizen. Citizen for the win.
All right. Well, and before I state, I did see in the chat, I will go ahead and call out Neff's statement that he thought that the Pelagos should have been grade 5 titanium for the price that they're commanding, which is a discussion I've seen come up with titanium quite a bit, and maybe something we can talk about after I go ahead and finish this one off here. And in terms of that, yeah, I'm gonna go in the reverse order of Patrick, because the Chapek is out for me as well. And yes, I find the price for a when you're using like base metal like this, I get it. Watch companies gouge with precious metal. It's like, oh, look, it's gold. Let's all of a sudden we're going to add $15,000 on top of anything else we're going to do with the watch, even though it doesn't really have all that much gold in it. I get it, but it's still a precious metal watch that does contain some value. Titanium is not a particularly special metal, other than we feel like it's kind of neat to see in watches. And it has some properties, the lightness and stuff that we enjoy to wear. But it's not as hard to machine as everyone likes to make it out to be. And the machining is readily available at this stage. So I find it a little tedious when sometimes I feel like individuals treat it like making sapphire cases, and it's just not the case. Now, they look better than sapphire cases, so they got that going for them. But the only thing I like about Chapek is the dial and how clean it is. But even looking at that dial and the cleanliness of it, I don't see anything that is $30,000+. So unless something about and again, I didn't go and examine all the movements because we're not really comparing movements here, but unless there's some sort of degree of massive hand finishing involved in the movement, I don't know how you get to this price point. And I don't care enough about the movement to go with that regard. But as Patrick noted, what I have seen with other Chapek movements, they're nice, but not that nice. So I just don't know. I picked it because it was expensive. So that's why it's on the list. So for the other two, I've been torn. So I really respect the toolish nature of the Tudor. But I'm going to go with the Citizen as well, ultimately on my pick. So, because obviously you're going to figure it out once I say a little bit, but I oscillated back and forth, knowing that you can go gray, like go to Joma or whatever and buy the Pelagos and get it for under the 4,900. We can factor that in if we want to mentally and say, you can definitely beat this price, or you can buy it used if you don't want to take a bath on its valuation over time. But it's a very text-heavy dial. I've never been, and because I control the computer, I can use my little mouse here. I've never been particularly enamored with these cutouts for the loom. I know some people like that. They dig it. I think it looks a little weird, like a toy. Like a toy had some little cut slots into it for me to learn how to stack blocks. So it just doesn't work for me. I'm fine with the snowflake hand, just like Patrick, but I just think the dial execution is better on the Black Bay line. So I would lean to a Black Bay over a Pelagos. So because of that, I don't know if the Citizen bracelet is comfortable or not, but it definitely looks different than anything else I own. So that's a plus for it. The dial's pretty cool looking. Yeah, I prefer more conservative, clean dials like the Chapek overall, but the Citizen dial is really clean. It's not laden with text. It says Citizen, it says titanium, and it says Eco Drive like all their Eco Drives do. Color match date window. at a $430 watch. I mean, I whine about this all the time. Like Hamilton can't do, Omega can't do this to save their life on their Aquaterras. I don't know why. They can do it on their Seamaster 300Ms. But anyway, I digress. So overall, yeah, I just think there's a lot there. It's a cool looking case alone. You're not outlaid a lot doing the purchase, and the super titanium treatment. The biggest complaint about people have with titanium is how easily the scratches show in sort of the patinaing that happens on the surface of the titanium. I note that because people talk about how titanium heals, which is a weird way to say it, because it doesn't really heal. It's the scratch isn't in the metal in and of itself. Regardless, it's got more interesting engineering than the Pelagos, a better dial overall, in my opinion, than the Pelagos. And it's not asking some ridiculous absorbent price like the Chapek does. So I would end up going with that as well. And I will note that we do have a poll going for people so they can pick. And I'll leave that open for a little bit because I wanted to go ahead and say, what other watches should I have put in this instead of the 3 that I picked? Because y'all didn't get any input on that. I just went along and made up what I wanted. And I will note, Neff mentioned in the live chat that he would have gone with the Casio Oceanus for titanium. So that was when I didn't even look at Casio. I didn't even know Casio did titanium.
Well, how about your Oris, Dennis? Didn't you get an Oris?
Pro Pilots, the Pro Pilot X's. Yeah, I did think about that. I thought about throwing a Kermi in, and I didn't because I owned it, and I was afraid. I don't own the Kermit, but I own a Pro Pilot, and I didn't throw the Pro Pilot in because I thought it might bias me towards the selection, whereas I'm not in the market for any of these 3, so I was relatively neutral with my picks. Yeah. So for selfish reasons, I left the Pro Pilot out. Yeah, it would have been an interesting one to put in. It meets my criteria of like really boring dial if you go with like the one I got, which is a gray dial. But again, you see my bias because I still I say about all that, and then I end up giving you 2 out of the 3 watches are gray dials.
No, I think the boring gray dials go well with the boring gray tone of titanium. I think that might be the right dial.
But I'm really predictable, Ken. I'm very predictable. And I know this. I'm not proud of it, but it's just the reality. Okay, so yeah, Oris would have been an option to throw in. I was trying to think of. Oh, Patrick, you had something.
Oh, I was going to say, I mean, I'm biased as a non-sponsored Zinn lover. So Zinn, I'm ready.
Oh, yes.
Me. But, Zinn makes some wonderful tegmented titanium watches, in that $3,000-$4,000 range. I don't think you're going to pick a Tudor over a Zinn over a Tudor, but, if you want to wear something that when you walk into a room, someone who knows watches sees you and knows, hey, you like watches, you're going to get a lot more respect out of me if I see you walking into a store wearing a Zinn than if you're wearing a Tudor. And it's for that reason, as I said, I love the brand. They're kind of like, they're what Grand Seiko used to be until Grand Seiko got a little bit more popular, and now you sometimes see them, even though they're still sort of a true enthusiast brand, and I like that.
Yeah, I would say to Zinn's credit that with a lot of people, even obviously watch collectors in general, I agree, are going to be more familiar, it's more exclusive to know about Zinn. But I also feel, despite the very impressive specs of the Pelagos, when 500 meters water resistance and all of that, if your goal is to convey true toolishness of a tool watch, it's kind of hard to top Zinn's reputation in that regard. They're just like, it's like, I want the watch for real to dive. Zinn, I don't know of another brand that has that same pedigree of just like, we are still loyal to the tool nature of what these watches look like. I see BJ in the live chat has suggested, of course, and how could I not think about this one? The Titanium Yachtmaster. I did consider throwing it in. The reason I didn't is it was too cheap, and I wanted to put the expensive one way up there. And that was actually at retail, it was too affordable in terms of my strategy on wanting to give you guys some really disparate choices between the 3 categories. But that might have made it tougher because that's got some big time Submariner vibes. I think we talked about it all in the last live stream. That bezel is awesome on that yacht.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't choose that one because it would have biased me and I would have had to have chosen it. And then I would just look like some Rolex douche who's like, ooh, Rolex.
Yeah, like you do right there in the chat.
Exactly.
Oh,
Look, I mean, that bezel has been there all along on the.
it looks even
PM
better
down
now,
there.
though.
Yeah, it
Looks
looks
even
better
better
now
now.
on the titanium.
But it's exactly what Dennis said. Like that bezel's been there, but it's been on a gold watch. And is that watch worth 35 grand because of a $20,000 premium for
I
$2,000
love
for gold?
gold. I love gold.
So
Neff has suggested the Grand Seiko Winter or Snowflake. I've been off and on about thinking about the Snowflake. I've looked at it a few times because originally when I learned about the Snowflakes, I didn't look into them closely. Obviously, I didn't even realize initially that it was a titanium watch, and then I saw, why is this so dark on the case? And I was like, oh wait, this is one of their titaniums, because I always looked at their steel watches.
Yeah, why is it so light? Yeah, I felt the same way.
If you hold it, you'll know, because that's my other rule about titanium watches, which is kind of an out there rule. If you're going to get a titanium watch, you need it to be a big watch, because you need to overcome the lightness, because I don't like the Snowflake. Like, it feels too light because it's a thin, small movement, thin, small case, thin bracelet. Like, it feels like a toy.
I feel the same way about all titanium watches. I thought it was just me. I thought it was just me. Like,
that's really interesting, because the thing I love about the Pro Pilot is that it's the lightest watch in my collection, and I'm just like, you know what? I don't want it to feel like I'm really wearing something today. This thing is just a little baby. It's a baby's watch, but it's not like where my former lightest watch was a Rolex OP in 34 millimeters. And now I get to wear one. It's not like, well, you're not wearing this little dainty watch, but it feels like a little dainty watch on my delicate flesh.
I'm a small guy. I complain about the size of Tudors or even the weight of Omegas and Rolexes all day. But then when I held the Pelagos in my hands, I'm like, God damn it, this shit is just so light. Am I really getting a watch here, a luxury watch here? I met a lot of people that are like that. I think part of the thing for me is, for a long time, really, my first, and it wasn't a fancy watch. My first nice watch was a gift in high school, and was a Citizen Chrono quartz chronograph. And so that was my first watch with a steel bracelet. And when I got this, I replaced it with this Explorer 2. And the Explorer is so much lighter than that Citizen was, with all the stuff to make the chrono work, that I've never had the same association with the expensive watches weighing more. To me, they weigh less. So because my Citizen was just a couple $100 probably, but it weighed a ton. That thing was like, I felt like I was ready to go boxing with my left arm was actually stronger than my right for a while there with that watch. But okay, let me close out the said poll and see what our live attendees think. And they think that the Citizen was the most valued option at 57% of the vote, followed by the Pelagos at 28%, and 14% chose the Antarctique.
Oh man, Chapek got votes. I'm kind of surprised.
I got a vote.
A vote.
There are only 7 votes, so let's not be too generous.
Yeah, the jury's out on titanium. I mean, it's still like a very new material for most watches, and I mean like investment hype, long term stuff. I mean, all the watches that are trading over retail. I mean, very few of them are titanium. I can't think of too many. I mean, yeah, the Yachtmaster is, but that's just because it's a new model, and what do you call it? Rolex isn't making that many to start with, and who knows if they will. But it's still it's very hard to tell what's going to be a great titanium watch to hold on.
Yeah, it's
not a safe bet.
Right. No, your points are valid. It's just the only thing is, there's nothing, I guess, to me, there's nothing inherent about why titanium couldn't be just as hype as steel, because steel is an absolutely worthless type of metal. Like, in terms of the value of the metal, steel is nothing. And we have tons and tons of, the most hype watches are steel watches. So that titanium isn't special, like it's not gold or platinum, is irrelevant. We know. So far there hasn't been a design that's used it that has become iconic enough to have value in that same way. But I think it's just because it's relatively new for watches. So
we'll see how it patinas. And so far, what I've read is that it doesn't patina as well.
Yeah,
as
I
steel
don't.
with the
Yeah,
scratches.
I don't.
It doesn't. I have not watches, obviously, but I have a fair number of titanium, like just everyday carry stuff. I've got a titanium money clip, and I've got several bits of titanium camping cookware, and they're all. I mean, I use them all constantly, and they all look real nice. And I've had several of them for a number of years. I've had that money clip for probably going on almost a decade now, and it pretty much looks the same, just a couple extra scratches. It didn't really do anything.
Tony, would you say it ever gets better with age? Any of your stuff, or would you feel like you think it could be replaced?
I don't feel like it can be replaced. I really like it. I'd be hard pressed to find something to replace it. I know some of my titanium silverware, camping silverware that I have. Once I lost some of it, and I felt bad without it. I ended up getting some more to replace it. But it is one of those things that it just feels the same, basically, as when I got it. It didn't. It's not like bronze or something like that gets tons of character, or even steel that kind of settles in over time. I mean, I'm sure it does a little bit, but you can't really tell. It's not like something where it's like super obvious.
Yeah. I think definitely the benefit of titanium is obviously the functional aspect. Easy to carry around,
and it's light. It's super light.
That's the convenient thing for the week. Is I actually just bought my first titanium watch this week, and so it's a big, hunky, weird thing from 1999. It's a Seiko Sportura titanium, and
that is weird.
I like weirds.
I love your weird picking of watches and stuff.
But the weird thing is what you guys are just talking about, like a patina to it. When I got it, it was kind of mungy colored. Like it did kind of have like a dirtiness to it that, I mean, I just took a little polishing stuff to it because, I mean, I'm not keeping it for any collectability. It's just because it's a cool watch. So I didn't mind, taking an abrasive to it mildly. And yeah, it cleaned and polished up, and it definitely got a nicer luster. So is that the patina of a 25-year-old?
I mean, yeah, because this is my money clip. It just looks a little bit more worn, a little bit more used. Scratches, obviously, because it's been in my pocket for years and years and years. But it's super light and looks nice. Does its job well. I mean, it's typically one of the things I grab, especially like on vacation or something. I'll throw my stuff in that instead of carrying my big, massive day-to-day wallet with me, or I'll use it just to hold a couple things, like when I'm doing like 5Ks or running or walking halfway fast for long distances.
Oh,
I can't hear you, Dennis. You're muted.
Thank you. I was typing the next poll and I manually muted the mic. And I think I do this every other stream. So thank you. I was going to say, we ended up with a good discussion on titanium. So let's go ahead and hop to the second one, which is dive watches. And maybe this one will be harder. Maybe not. I don't know. Yeah, it will be. I believe in myself. Okay. This is what I've done to you. This is what I've done to you. Okay. So, again, the only requirement was for them to be dive watches. The cheap option, I went with the Seiko Prospect, specifically the SRPF03. This is a little over $500 on Seiko Watch's website. Uses the 4R35 movement because it doesn't have the day. It's just a date watch. 200 meters water resistance, hard Lux crystal, just under 44 millimeters in diameter. Of course, rotating bezel, all the usual stuff you would expect out of a Seiko. But this is their Thule line, the Prospects line. Then moderate, perhaps the most famous dive watch in the history of dive watches, the Rolex Submariner date version in this case, specifically the 126610 LN, which is a little over $10,000 if you can actually get it from an authorized dealer. Uses the 3235 movement. 300 meters of water resistance, 70-hour power reserve on the in-house caliber that was already mentioned. And this one's a little smaller at 41 millimeters. And then in between those two, closer though in size to the Rolex, is Audemars Piguet's Royal Oak Offshore Diver. I'm not going to say the model number because it's a nightmare in length, as all AP model numbers are. This is a $30,000 retail watch, uses their in-house caliber movement, same level of water resistance as the sub, 300 meters. This one is 42 millimeters in diameter, and because I didn't have another thing to highlight about it, I just noted that it is 14.2 millimeters thick in the little image, because I like to type 3 things on each item, and that's all I wanted to say about that one. I guess I'll go ahead and start this time since I went last prior. I feel like, and let me go ahead and fire off the poll so people can start voting right away. But I feel like I'm doing the low hanging fruit here, but my choice will be the Rolex in this instance. And I think, because it depends how we define value, but it's arguably their second or third most popular watch that people try and get. Debate. I'd say most people, if you say what's the hardest Rolex that people want that they can't get, it's the Daytona. After that, debate would probably be either want the GMT Master 2, which I think would be number 2 normally, and then the sub. Yeah. But the sub, very, very popular watch. They make a lot of them too, but very popular watch. Generally trades for about, last I looked, 4,000 to 5,000 more used than available at the authorized dealer. But it's iconic. It's an iconic watch. Obviously, the one with date is not the original variant, but you can see this. And if you looked at an original Rolex sub, you definitely see the lineage. It's still quite robust as a steel watch. If you wanted to swim and dive with it, they're fully, this isn't one of their gold ones. It's fully capable of being the tool watch that it used to be. It just costs way more than it ever had. I would lean against it had the used markets not sustained so high for the initial cost of the watch. You're not going to have that with the Seiko, obviously, and there are a ton of Seikos to choose from. I do have a Seiko Prospex. I don't have this design. I have a Turtle myself, and I really like it. And I think there's a lot of robustness there. So in terms of value for dollar, obviously the cheap watch is going to be the answer regardless. However, I do find this larger than it has any right to be at almost 44 millimeters. That's okay for a dive watch. I just think it's excessive for no obvious purpose to me other than Seiko just decided that they don't want to make it smaller case. But I do like it. It's clean. I like the waffle patterning on the dial. But otherwise, it's my second favorite. I do like the broad arrow hour hand and stuff. It's easy to read secondhand, all of that. So that'd be my second pick. AP's Royal Oak would be my last. I don't like this dive watch. It was hard enough for me to get behind the helium escape valve on the 300Ms from Omega. But this is just I don't know. They're just dialed it to 11. It looks so tooly, but it also looks like the dial is 20 millimeters of the 42 millimeter size, because it just seems like this watch is all bezel. And I know that's really no different than anything else. It's just those screws are so prominent, and then you've got the interior bezel. I think that's the actual bezel rotator on the side there, not a helium escape valve, but it's in the place. It's in the wart. It's in the wart place. I like the color, but I don't like the hands on it. I don't like interior dive bezels as much as I like exterior bezels, but the value may be there. I don't know. I've never handled their rubber strap, so I don't know if that band is awesome or not. But Rolex bracelets are, to date, my most favorite bracelet I have ever experienced is a Rolex bracelet. And so, and Seiko's bracelets are crap. So I'm going to also use that as an excuse. So anyway, that's my pick. And I will go ahead and move on to Patrick.
Oh boy, I don't like setting myself up for this, but as the Rolex non-fanboy, I still have to pick the Rolex.
Oh no!
Well, how can you do it, Patrick? What's next? You're going to be arguing for the tank over the Roadster when we do the Cartier episode.
See, Dennis, you made my choice too easy by using that Seiko, because if you maybe put in a Seiko, I know maybe the Willard might just be a little over the price, but I do not like that Seiko. I do not like the broad arrow. I do not like the tiny little waffle pattern. That Seiko just loses me completely. And yeah, it's freaking huge. I mean, 44 for that. I mean, that's yeah. So I mean, that's that. There could have been more fight in me, but that Seiko just made it too easy for me to dismiss it. And then, of course, we brings it back to our expensive guy in the room. One, I don't like it. Two, even if I did, I tried one of these on just for kicks and giggles at like a gray market store. That thing is ginormous. So just because it's 42 doesn't mean it's 42. Those wings flare out like this.
Is it a 42? Is it a 42 that wears like a 50?
Oh, it's a 42 that weighs like a 55. It is a big wearing watch. I mean,
It's a Tony watch.
it is. It's completely.
Yeah.
I mean, super chat now for Tony because
Yes, let's get the super chats in for Tony. Help Tony get his AP Royal Oak Offshore Diver today.
I mean, what was so hilarious was when I was at the store and I tried that on, and the guy's looking at me saying like, "Oh, it looks good." And I moved it out to the side, and I could stick 2 fingers through the hole, and I'm like, "Dude, what are you talking about?" And be a better salesman. That's all I can say.
Was your salesman Flavor Flav? Because then there would be a logic to the
Definitely
fondness
not
for the
Flavor Flav. So he was an uptight dude in a suit, which I also find just horrible. I don't think watch dealers should look like maitre d's at a fine restaurant. Just be a normal human. But
I kind of think that's why when I did my thing that the lady started bringing out all the largest watches she could find just because of my wrist size. She's just like, I want to see somebody who can actually wear this for once.
Absolutely. Well, I wish they had one of those because, as I said, I was surprised how big it wears. But as I said, not a huge fan of it. Okay, so here comes the glowing endorsement for Rolex. All in all, it's a very plain watch. It's super simple. I mean, I don't give them a lot of credit for crazy design. I mean, it is the standard classic dive watch, and whether we give them credit for it, Blancpain credit for it, or even our good boys at Zodiac credit for it, everyone came up with a dive watch at the same idea. Why? Because all the idea was let's put a bezel that clicks on it. Everything else about the watch is just a watch. So really, it's more of a bezel design than it is a watch design. And, it had to be waterproof. So as I said, it doesn't jump off the page at me and say, wow, you're amazing. But, it's a good looking watch. And, given the choices of a ugly looking Seiko, a way overpriced, monstrous, gorilla-armed AP, or a nice-looking watch that I can actually wear, I gotta go Rolex.
Your logic is undeniable, Patrick. Ken,
yeah, you made this one a little too easy, Dennis.
I thought maybe the AP might bait you. That's honestly, I thought maybe I had a shot there.
I'm going to make an argument for the AP.
Okay.
I'm not saying I'm picking the AP, but first of all, I hate that. What do you call it? Gasket, whatever that at 10 o'clock. It just annoys the hell out of me. It's the worst part about this watch. I cannot stand that what do you call it? that knob or whatever.
Yeah. I think it's the internal bezel knob. Yeah.
Can't stand it. I think that's the worst part of this watch by far. If they got rid of that, then it would be much better. It would be at least tolerable. But listen, the watch. I think the watch is terrible. But the value, I'm going to say the value of that watch is not this watch, but the second watch that you're going to get from AP. Okay, so you buy this watch. This is what they call a gateway watch. Okay, this and the code they'll make you buy in order to get your first steel Royal Oak. All right, that's the real value of this watch. You're going to take a bath on it. All right, when you sell. When you try flip with a dealer, you're gonna take you'll be lucky to get like half your money back from a dealer. But the value there is when in let's say 6 months time, when maybe if they get you some type of Royal Oak steel, 15-5-10, something of that nature, or a chrono, that's where this lies. And it's not even a great value. To be honest, I'd rather just fuck this and just go gray for the Royal Oak, and because like you can't even flip this until you get that Royal Oaks, that steel Royal Oak, because they're gonna because let's say if you flip it and someone else buys it and they register this watch with AP, then you're basically fucked for the Royal Oak as well. So the real value isn't even with the second watch, really. Okay, I take that back. The value with AP with this watch at a Royal Oak at an AP boutique is if you're going to be a real big time AP collector, and I mean by that the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh watch. All right, so here's the deal with AP. I mean, the first watch is a gateway watch. This second, you're allowed to ask for Royal Oak, in 6 months. Third is another gateway watch, either something like this or perhaps a code. Then fourth is a precious metal Royal Oak, which you're allowed to ask for. But it can't be like a complication Royal Oak. It has to be like maybe a chrono, maybe a self-widening Royal Oak. Then fifth is then you can get into like the complications, the perpetual calendars, perhaps a jumbo Royal Oak. Sixth, and it keeps going. Sixth is another non-hot model, all right. And seventh, then on the seventh AP, if you can last that long, then you can ask for open works or ceramic AP. So that would be like the reason why you would get this watch is if you want to play that sick AP game. But obviously I can't stand it. I can't stand. I mean, I'm getting sick and tired of AP in general. I mean, I just want maybe one Royal Oak and be done with it. I've been waiting 3 years, but heck, if I don't get it, that's fine. I won't buy any crap like this or the code. Yeah, so I take the Seiko's. Yeah, Seiko's nice. I mean, is that like a folded link bracelet? Are they still making folded links at that price point, Dennis, or solid links?
I thought they. I don't know if they're folded link or not, honestly.
Right.
The Seiko I have, I don't think was, but may have had hollow end links still, is what my thinking was.
All right, sure.
I'm disappointed. Hardlex for $500. I would have thought they would have thrown fire on that.
Yeah, I mean, the turtle I have, I guess technically retailed at like $750 because it's a king turtle with the sapphire. But the nice thing about that was that one actually came with the crappy bracelet and a pretty kick-ass rubber strap. So I swapped it to the rubber strap. But
yeah, I mean, my first Seiko was like some, SKX 007. It was $200. Had a folded link bracelet. I mean, I hope they get some maybe solid link bracelet in this one.
It might be. I just don't know.
Yeah. But I mean, me, I'd go with the Rolex. I mean, heck, this is. I mean, if you're talking value here, I mean, almost nothing beats a sub in terms of value, and I mean, like in terms of like liquidity as well. Yeah, you won't make much money if you're a flipper on the market. Getting this. I mean, what's a retail for 10 and change with tax? Yeah, you'll in these days down market, and interest rates still are what they are. It doesn't look like it's gonna have like that big pop or bump like in 2021 or a pandemic, but I mean, it's a sub. It's what I say is it's the S&P 500 of watches. All right, slow and steady gains, keeps up with inflation, price increases, and then you should be happy. And you have an awesome bulletproof watch to wear. So yeah, my pick would be the sub for a value pick. Yeah, just hold on to it. You can get rid of it in days, if not hours. Get your money back. Make a little bit as well if you need to.
All right. Well, I was going to ask you to repeat again what was AP number 5 I was allowed to get if I got through the first 4 phases of grief, but I don't think I don't think I will.
Some people that's what they want you to do. I mean, that's okay. Really what you want to do. To be
I've heard about that. I've heard about that with various games now with them. Longa requiring you to get in with their stuff.
But Longa is like the other brands like that, but fuck, AP is like yeah, they know they have like a winner in the Royal Oaks, but then they have just dogs in a lot of their other models. I mean, that's just what I don't like about AP.
Well, maybe the code someday will become a beloved gem.
It might be, but the way they force it on people is what I don't like. Right. Let it happen.
I understand. Tony, conclude us here. What's your pick? Choose your
Oh,
house.
it's so amazing. There's so many great. Oh, but I'm gonna go with the sub. I mean, there's no way around it. It is by far the absolute best choice here. Personally, I like a no date sub. No date sub is fine. I prefer it because I hate
You
the
hate the
Cyclops.
Cyclops. You hate the Cyclops. You
I-
say it every time.
I know, but it's
I gave
true.
you a
I just-
Seiko with no Cyclops.
You did give me a Seiko with no Cyclops, but I don't really like that prospects. I admit I'm a little old school. I like the Arnie. The old the Seiko prospects, the Arnie watch from the 80s. I like it a lot. I like most of Seiko's tuna cans a lot. This one, I don't know. The best thing I like on it is like you, the wide hour hand. I really like that hand, but everything else I don't care about. And I mean, everybody said it. It's a Rolex sub. It is like when you think dive watches, that's the watch everybody thinks of. It's by far the choice to go with in this specific situation of these three.
Okay, so we all picked.
I don't think. Yeah,
Well, now
I
I
don't
feel
think
like-
this is a good competition.
I feel like I did a pretty bad job because we all ended up picking the exact same watch.
Well, the only fault, Dennis, I think you get is that your Seiko choice was not
Oh my
the greatest
God.
Seiko choice.
My forsake. I was just like, oh look, it's black, and it's gonna be like it's. Like, I thought you all would like it, and now I'm sad. I was like, I did a bad job with that one.
I mean,
Well,
it's
but
Seiko.
lesson learned.
They've got
So-
like a bazillion
Well,
prospects.
yeah, I know, and I could have played it and been like, you know what, I could have picked a turtle or something like more conventional with more of a known fan base or something. But it's just like with the titanium watches. What are some like I guess alternatives that you would have liked to have seen in the list? So I'll point out where Neff had noted he was surprised I didn't put a bathyscap, Blancpain's bathyscap. Did think about it because I am a fan of the look of the bathyscap. Thing is, I'd have to recheck. It depends on the version, but when you go again, since I was using retail prices, it's right around that 12. So if it got pushed up into the expensive tier, I was like, I know for sure that the non-bathyscap, the 50 fathoms, was going to be over. Bathyscap, maybe I could have found around between 11 and 12. I'm not sure. It depends. Maybe the 38 millimeter version because they do have a 38, but no. So I thought it was just too close to the edge. And I really wanted to throw the Rolex in there just because I was hoping to make it drawn. Now, granted, maybe I don't know if there are non-offshore. I don't know AP well. If they're non-offshore divers, because I know the Royal Oak offshores are just less popular than Royal Oak non-offshores, just broadly speaking across the board. So,
Well, you mean just regular Royal Oaks? So
is there a dive? Is there a regular dive Royal Oak variant?
No.
Okay, I didn't know of one.
It's all
but...
that. No, it's all that one type. Yeah, other types. I mean, yeah, the issue with dive watches is that unless you want to count like a Nautilus as a dive watch, most of the dive watches are all bunched up in the middle tier category, like a Rolex sub.
Sure.
Yeah, and the cheap ones, yeah, you can't go. Yeah, I mean, they're all bunched together in the Seiko range. So it's hard to compete with if you're just going to go with the Rolex sub and the others.
Yeah, I don't know. And no, I wouldn't do that. And the Nautilus doesn't have enough water resistance to count. So, I mean, because I tried to make it at least achieve, even if it doesn't have to be ISO certified, but it need to meet the specification. Like, I wouldn't take anything under 200.
I mean, it has to have, I never even knew the Nautilus was I mean, it's like a Royal Oak to me. Then that doesn't seem like a dive watch. I mean, to me, a dive watch should have
it doesn't have a dive
bezel.
Yeah, it doesn't have a timing bezel. It doesn't have enough water resistance. It's just a cool sports watch for people who like that design. Maybe a Ulysse Nardon. I could have gone with something from them, perhaps, but it wouldn't have gotten much higher up on pricing. It would have been under this AP, I think. The AP was. I saw that. And I was like, oh, I know my answer for expensive. Patrick, so which Seiko should I have done?
Oh, I mean, I said my weakness for Seiko is in the Willard family. I just love that odd sort of pill-shaped case. So I said, I don't know if they have one that's in there because I know the Willard. And I don't really know why the Willard it's about 1,000, which seems kind of high for a Seiko, but I mean a general Seiko. But I guess it's because it's popular. So I I don't know exactly which one. So BJ just threw a one down there, the SPB 147. I don't know what that one is, but he knew that my other new watch is called the Jay Leno, so he must know his Seikos pretty well.
Well, let's load it up here.
What's $1,000 Seiko?
Stop that.
But
Present.
but in the
Screen.
mid tier, I'll say, what about a Panerai?
Yeah, it's a dive watch too. Yeah, technically.
SPB 147 is 1,000.
I mean, it's a nice looking watch, but I don't know why it's $1,000. That seems kind of pricey.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if the movement's not a 4R. That'd be 6R. There we go. That's my normal. I've started to figure out what Seiko does. A lot of it's driven by movement, but there will still be broad ranges within movement tiers. Like 6Rs are used in the King Seikos, and yet they are like $1,800 unless you get the new ones, which are double that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it doesn't make, I don't know. I had a whole roll rant the other day, I think, on one of the lives. Oh, Neff says he apologizes. He wanted the 185. Well, I have to do another search. Seiko 185. We have to be right. Oh, okay. It's a turtle. Spoilers, it's a turtle. It's 1,200.
I like the turtle. I don't know, that might have been able to steal me away from a sub, but
it's a nice look.
Yeah, that one's at least got a bit more spunk to it. So, but it breaks the bank. It wasn't allowed in the under 1,000.
Yeah, these are too much, Neff. These $1,200 watches. You're modern Seiko. We have to have old school Seiko, like what I picked, the perfect Seiko.
The perfect Seiko.
No, it's perfect Seiko. Now the well, I guess one final thing, because it's separate from all that. Let me go ahead and close out the poll though, because we have to. And oh wow, this one's actually closer. So we had Rolex won, but only with half the vote. And the Seiko got a third of the vote, and the AP got 16%. So one vote for the AP.
What about
Corey.
the Tissot Sideral, if that can be counted as a dive watch?
Tissot. How do I spell that?
Sideral. I saw the time teller make a video on that.
Oh, these are those new ones with the Powermatic 80s, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay.
As a cheap option. Well, it's right under 1,000 as a Tissot.
Yeah, pricing wise, I figured they would be. Yeah, these are the ones with these new weird, funky, like 10-minute color dials.
Sure, they're trying.
What are these, carbon fiber? They look carbon.
Yeah, stainless steel with carbon.
Oh, marbled forged carbon on top of it. Okay, interesting.
All right.
It looks interesting.
Looks neat. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I like this look. It kind of reminds me of Zodiac. Kind of these fun colors. Aren't they? Zodiac's fans of these baton style indices or hands as well. Yeah. I had a Zodiac for a while. It was kind of fun. Though completely different case shape.
Yeah,
but that's good of Tissot to make something not PRXy. So they're trying not to get stuck into the AP stronghold of being known for one and only one watch.
Yeah, I guess the main thing about it would be, what is its depth rating? Water resistance. Oh, 30 bar. Wow. Yeah, I would definitely counts. So.
All right.
Wow, 300 meters.
Yeah, the PRX. I don't know if if they're doing what Tudor does and just releases a limited amount to start, but that ice blue dial looks to be sold out at retailers. You can't order it any longer. The ice blue PRX.
Mm-hmm.
How about that neon one?
I've loaded this up real quick because I knew we mentioned it at the start. The new Le Mans Rolex Cosmograph Daytona.
Okay.
A lot of I actually saw Federico's channel, and he usually dogs on Rolex like no other, and he actually praised this watch, which everyone's
praising it. I'm actually glad. I think I have the right panel here with Tony and Patrick on this, because everything I've seen over YouTubers, everyone is is dicking this watch like crazy. I mean, they're kissing the ass of this watch like crazy, and like it's going to be some type of $150,000 to $200,000 watch, and maybe to start off. But they're thinking, I mean, they're thinking this is like the greatest thing on earth, and I'm just not seeing that. I'm looking at this watch, and I'm the biggest Rolex fanboy there is, but I'm looking at this. All right, number one, it's not gem set. Okay, it's not platinum. It's not meteorite. Not even a fucking color. All right.
It's got red right here.
All right, no, all right. The only thing about this watch that's distinct is the Paul Newman subdials, and even then, you can argue that this dial is nothing special. It's, you know, it looks the same as the steel one, and you have a dial that's a vintage / homage dial. So, and I know it's the I know it all depends on how much they make, but I think this is just a move by Rolex to come out with this version because their March Daytona releases were so lukewarm. I mean, you go to your ADs and you ask them, all right, what are people asking for? All right, they're gonna say the old Daytonas, all right, because a lot of people are not a fan of the new Daytonas. All right, at least half prefer the old version. So they didn't like that, and so they came out with this one. They conveniently like found like an event like Le Mans to market this watch as. But I think they came out with this watch, number one, to have people forget about the initial Daytona releases, and number two, they're gonna, you know, this is just the start of like more PM, more two-tone ceramic bezel Daytonas. There's going to be more of them coming out. If they came out with this watch as a set along with more ceramic PM Daytonas, it would get nowhere near the hype. Right? Definitely not. So I'm just not seeing the rarity as people online are saying and the hype that it's getting. All right, the way, and especially the way that they're marketing it. All right, the way that they never market any of their other watches like they're doing this one, which is a little strange to me, but it's very on Rolex like, and it's a little bit gimmicky. I'm not sure if it's the best move for them because they never do it. But I struggle to see how this watch is as great as not great, but is as rare and deserving of a secondary market value. It's not a rainbow, all right. It's not a Seiko. It's not an Eye of the Tiger, all right. I mean, it's not meteorite. It's not platinum. It's fucking white gold. Okay, white gold has been the absolute dog of the precious metal market for the past 3 years, all right. And because like this market just looks at white gold like stainless steel. All right, so that's my rant. That's my hot take on this watch. I mean, apparently a lot of people disagree with me online. They love this watch as shit, but I'm even struggling to think if this watch settles in the long term as in the same value as the John Mayer, the green dial Daytona.
Can I fight with Ken now?
Yeah, sure.
Go for
Patrick,
it.
go ahead. Let them fight. That's what Godzilla taught us.
Okay.
My first take is, one, I hate all Daytonas. I think they're ugly. So like I have no dog in this fight because I think it's one of the ugliest chronographs out there, and I think everything about it is ridiculously stupid with the screwed in pushers and all the things that make it functional and too many lines of text. I don't like it. However, I do have to say, I think if what the market is thinking about this watch is true, is going to make it cream of the crop, only because kind of what I was talking about way earlier about, a watch being released. If they just put it in the copy machine and they print off 1,000, 10,000 copies, I'm not interested. Like that watch, whether it's rare because it's all scooped up. I mean, you can go on Chrono and you could buy any rainbow Daytona anytime. It's not that it's rare, it's just hard to get. they're made, they're out there. It's just that, you're not fancy enough to get it because you don't buy enough of the crappy stuff. If this is made as a true 100-year anniversary and they only make it for the 1 year and it's actually in limited production, it makes it the first limited edition Rolex that I can even think of. And for that reason, I think that makes it pretty awesome to the hype beasts out there who are buying it as an investment. I mean, does it make it a better watch? No. But I think all the people who love a money opportunity will jump on it like nobody's business, because I think they're hoping it's going to be a 1-year deal. Kind of like the 50-year rotor on the AP. So everybody wants that 50th anniversary rotor because it's a 1-year thing. Is the watch any better or different? No, but it's going to be special. And I mean, maybe this one will be special.
Okay. Tony, do you have any thoughts?
I really don't have anything to add. I think it's all been pretty covered. My thoughts on the Daytonas are well known. I'm not a fan of them, but I think people are right that they're going to make bank on this as an investment piece. I'm just not the type of person who can look into something like this as, oh, I'm getting this to invest. That's not. I can't see myself picking up a watch for that reason. Just like you see the people who've got like safes that's just full of watches that they might wear 3 of them ever, or they've got ones where they'll wear them, maybe once a year, like they wear a different watch every day type stuff. I'll never understand any of that. I think that there's a limit to where you can get it, and the thought of buying something just because I can resell it, not because I have any actual interest, love, or think it's cool or whatever. I just can't understand that line of thinking. It's just not how I work when it comes to about anything. But a lot of people do, and those people I think are going to be very happy with this watch.
Yeah. Tony, that brings up a question that I just kind of popped in my head when you were talking about collectors. We're all old enough that we remember the original Star Wars toys. And of course, why are the original Star Wars toys worth anything?
Nostalgia.
I don't know.
Well, it's because people didn't collect things back then. So you had toys, and what did people do with toys? They played with them. So all the Star Wars toys are beat up and destroyed. I mean, I shot off all the heads of mine with BB guns.
Mine I gave away. I gave them all away.
Right.
But the idea is that makes them collectible. Are the new Star Wars toys going to be collectible? No, because there's some idiot who goes to Target and buys one of each and puts it in their safe and lies to themselves that these are going to be valuable commodities in 20 years. And that's what I think of current collectors who think that these watches are going to be special. They're not. There's going to be thousands of people just like you who locked away your brand new 2023 Rolex. And in 50 years, people are going to be like, that was stupid. I just don't think it's the same. You can't make collector relationships when everyone knows that there's a collector relationship. What makes it special is that no one collected it before. And
right. There's Exactly. I agree. I mean, there's a aspect to collecting it's organic collectability. And that's what happens with the 6263s, the 70s Paul Newmans. All right. This is what I think I would put into that category, Patrick, was one of these new models, albeit it's probably going to be limited, not a lot of made, but it's not I don't think it's going to have the same organic collectability as a real Paul Newman, as a vintage Paul Newman.
Yeah.
Right. What they're doing is manufactured scarcity, right? Which is different than organic collectability with this one. And there's a whole.
We're officially not fighting anymore.
No, I mean, look, this, look, 50K. Yeah. It has a 9,000 premium, than the other white gold Daytonas. Okay, open case back, slightly different 24-hour movement. Yeah, that's nice. Ceramic bezel. I mean, yeah, 50K. Yeah, obviously anybody would take it. 100K, maybe not. Maybe not. Yeah, is what I'm trying to say. 150. I highly
Yeah.
doubtful, and that's what people are saying. It's going to be in that
Mhm.
150 to 200 range. Probably more to start off, but it'll say that. I just don't see the value of this watch compared to the actual limited production or rare gem set models that we have, because there's another aspect to. I mean, it's white. Like I said, it's white gold, right? I mean, I love Rolex white gold. I mean, I feel like they make the best white gold on the market with their mix of palladium in there and the gray gold and the non rhodium plating. But I mean, it just there. I mean, what white gold watch trades above really above retail on the market? I mean, a buddy of mine has the Ghost Daytona, right? White gold 116509, and it's pretty new, and the dealer just fucking offered him retail for it. All right, Oyster Flex 116519. All right, the Ghost. All right, I mean the white gold blue sub. All right, the Cookie Monster trades for at least 20% under retail. All right, you can get that in the it's a 42,000 watch. You can get that for the high in the low 30s right now. All right, it's in the Windows 80s. Right? You can barely give white gold away at this point. All right, it's not. And I'm gonna bring, and there's a regional and cultural investability to these watches too, right? All right, there's certain parts of this world, all right, they prefer yellow gold, rose gold, even domestically, all right. It's only a niche audience right now, white gold, and geez, I mean, yeah, I mean, I just don't see this as being as quote unquote special and collectible as what typically is like from Rolex.
It's I'm going to split the difference.
Sorry,
I'm going to bifurcate my thoughts on this because I think there are two different types of people who have reacted to this watch. So it seems like most of the discussion has been about those who want to acquire in order to be speculative with the watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I do, I get it. The thought is if Rolex is going to not make very many of them, then even if the overall demand isn't the same as, the millions of people who want to have a Submariner, and the Submariners, even though they make so many of them every year, there just aren't enough. There just aren't enough. And that's why they trade for more, even when you start throwing in the older models. That there will be enough with the white gold and everything else that there'll just be so few of them made that it's going to speculate up simply because there'll be 300 people who want it and they only made 50. That idea. And that's a gamble, whether that's going to be true or not, because we have, Rolex doesn't convey its intentions on if this is going to be a one-time run or if they're going to bring out this dial configuration in other metals or anything along those lines. Then there's the other side where I think a lot of the enthusiasts are, collector / enthusiasts who have gotten excited, which is just, this looks like a Paul Newman. And and they see the picture. And if they're like me, they saw the photo and we thought, oh, this is, holy crap. And then I clicked and I said, white gold? I thought it was steel. And then the moment it was white gold, I lost all interest. And because it's a retail of $51,400 just to get in on this. So it's not, what I think ends up happening is even if this trades for more used than it does new, I don't think the percentage increase is going to match the percentage increase we saw on steel. And so because of that, it may not be quote unquote as smart of a strategic investment. But I think a lot of people just saw this dial configuration, got excited, and then went and looked at Hodinkee or a Blog to Watch or Fratello or whoever they went to, and then saw the price and saw it was white gold. And they were like, well, I'm out of the market anyway, because I don't pay $50,000 for watches. And I think it's just the dial compare, especially again, kind of what you said, Ken. The reaction to the new dial configuration, by and large, is not playing as well as the old dial configuration on the Daytonas. And so I think this has got some people excited because it looked like kind of what they were hoping to see, but it's not the right metal. I don't think turning it into platinum solves the problem either, or maybe for the collector perspective, but I think a lot of people are just hoping to have this in steel, and it doesn't exist yet. But if Rolex wants to go that route, maybe they will. We don't know. And I think we would see a different landscape if they end up saying this is going to join in 2024. This will join the stainless steel collection. But that's what I just think people got excited by the dial configuration and assumed it was steel at first until they read about it. And that's it. I don't think, will it trade for more used? If they only do it 1 year, absolutely. Will it be like 200% up? I'd guess no, but so ultimately I agree with both. Well, with all three of you, I don't think this moves the needle as much as what a lot of the initial reaction is. I just think people thought this is a really attractive iteration of the dial, and that just got people initially kind of into it, because I think they've been looking for a reason to kind of want to like Daytona again, because I think some people are kind of getting, I'm not a huge Daytona fan. I'm not as bothered as Tony and Patrick are by the configuration, but like I prefer the Zenith chronograph look to these. I prefer Breitling chronograph looks to these, but I also don't own any chronographs. So my money is not where my mouth is on any of it. So yeah,
I'm just hoping, like, I mean, I didn't ask my AD for this, but because I just felt like every Tom, Dick, and Harry would ask this, but I'm just hoping it gets them off of some list and maybe gets me up some of mine.
Yeah, one of the ADs in my town, I follow him on Facebook or on Instagram, and his story was, if you ask me for this watch, I'm unfriending you. So pretty much that tells me all I need to know is that, that watch is going to be, at least initially super, super hot. Whether it stays that way, I think it all depends on how limited it is. If it just becomes a staple that remains forever, I don't think it's going to do much. But if it's a short run,
and that's the thing. We won't until it's.
I mean, that's the only thing, really. Until
it's after the fact, whether it was a smart move to safe queen it or not, it will be unknown. And so that's where it's always, I'm much more, I'm not much of the strategic investor. I do index funds. I like to, because I don't want to try and suss all that out and just.
You don't have a Rubbermaid tub full of Beanie Babies just waiting for that price to spike?
I have my Rubbermaid tub full of baseball cards, and we know what happened to that market. People started leaving, let's buy unopened boxed baseball cards, and what happened in that market? Nothing. I mean, it crashed. So if you want some unboxed Donrusses from 1990, let me know, because I think I have one box from that year and one box from 91. But
yeah, my only speculative trading was in college when we would wait in the Toys R Us parking lot to buy Furbies and then flip them immediately on eBay for like double the money. And that lasted for one Christmas holiday, and that's all the flipping I've ever done.
Paid for Christmas, though. I
had a friend who flipped iPhones for a while. He would go out to like the parking lot and flip iPhones. He'd buy them up, like buy 8 of them and then sell them secondhand when a new model would come out. Until he got robbed. He was like, I guess this isn't really worth it. On that positive, upbeat note, I don't have anything else for us to play, and we ended up going well over an hour because there was a lot of AP rage and a lot of Daytona rage. Ken, you were kind of full of rage today, I feel.
Yeah, because it's I wasn't.
We're gonna
say too much, but
we're gonna do some Zen. We gotta do some like Zen watch thing. You gotta mellow you out. Have you looked into the Cartier Roadster? Have you thought about becoming a roadster? That's kind of like a really Zen watch from Cartier. If you can dig a gigantic, enormous Cyclops, I think that is the Zen path for you.
It sounds like a watch that has rage, the Cartier Roadster.
right. That would be funny. Cartier Ragester. They're ambitious enough that they might try it for a year. Mm-hmm. But anyway, final plugs. Patrick.
I mean, I don't have any big plugs besides, hey, I got a YouTube channel.
Yeah,
go check it out. Go for it.
There's a link in the description of this video. You click on it, and you'll be able to subscribe to him. Learn about pocket watches, or learn about how much he might end up paying to get that capacitor fixed on that Seiko.
Yeah, I know.
You gonna spring for the grand, or is Seiko Todd gonna hook you up with a specialist?
We'll see. He hasn't emailed me back to find out, but. We shall see.
Well, I don't know anyone who can help you with it, so don't look at me. I can't. I'm afraid. If I did, I'd let you know. But all the watchmakers around here are more traditional.
So. Yeah, all the watchmakers in my town are garbage. So So yeah.
I had one I kept going to, and he turned down like every watch I went to. I finally found a guy. I had a pin lever, a cheap old pin lever that I wanted fixed. And one guy's like, his assistant just came out, the little reception lady, and she's just like, he doesn't work on these style pin lever movements. They're not worth the trouble. I'm like, well, my $200 says they are worth the trouble. So, Tony.
I also have very little. We are rapidly approaching episode 200 of the Eclectic Gamers podcast.
200.
We've done it for like 7+ years, I think.
Yeah.
It's been
And we started in what, 16?
I think
Something
so.
like that.
Yeah, an episode every other week. We never missed an episode. We've each missed an episode, but we've always put it out every other week.
Yeah. So
We're very consistent.
That's all that's really going. I look forward to our Invicta episode.
Someone else may have to host that because I like to think my snobbery doesn't extend very far, but I will not buy that brand.
When I built the Todd, I had considered putting it in Invicta, and I just couldn't bring myself to do it.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
What I want to know is if I go to the store and I buy 2 and I get 4 for free because that's their standard promotion. Can I take all 6 back next week so that we can do a show on it, but then I can like bring them back? Is that allowed?
Oh,
possibly.
As reviews,
I found one that had a quartz watch on top, and you flipped it open. There was an automatic watch underneath because for some reason somebody thought that was a thing that needed to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I've almost spent an afternoon playing that game of I want to walk into the Invicta store because my wife was shopping, and I was just like, I wonder if I could even find 6 watches that like I could even make myself walk out the store with, but I've been too chicken to walk into the store, so maybe one day I'll do it.
I have a friend who he is not a watch guy, but he likes a very large watch, and he received an enormous Invicta for Christmas, and he loves it. It's like his favorite watch.
All right.
Well,
because it is like Mudmaster.
He is happy. Yeah, I would have gone with a Mud. I would have gotten him a Mudmaster, but the important thing is that he is happy.
Every time I see him wear that watch, though, I'm just like it like hurts my soul.
Ken,
You ever see Invicta's watches? The Invicta Marvel watches. I think they make better looking Marvel watches. AP can learn. AP can learn. Look at
that is a whole other can. I'm not saying you're wrong, but that is a whole other can of worms.
Yeah. We'll save that for the next week.
is listening to this or this stream.
Oh my gosh, you are going to be blacklisted.
Yeah,
they've probably called your dealer right now, and they're like, he's got to buy 2 codes now. No, they're not blacklist you fully. It's like there's an 8th step for you. And that's an extra code.
Invicta was better, and they're like,
they could learn a thing from Invicta.
Invicta didn't spend 50 hours hand carving that Spider-Man.
Excuse me, yeah.
Granted, I get it. It was made out of white gold, so you think he's trash.
Titanium too. All right.
All right. Well, thanks everyone who was able to catch it live. If you watched the recording, feel free to leave a comment on if the game worked, if it didn't work, if you want to see what's different, let me know. We're always willing to reshape things as we go along. And that's it. I'll end the stream now. So everybody have a great rest of the week.